Assalamualaikum to Dr. Anwar and friends. Today, our group members want to present about changes OSHA 1994 into OSHA 2022. This is our group members. Okay, I start with the introduction. The purpose of this case study is to identify of the changes found in OSHA 2022 compared to OSHA 1994. The Safety and Health Act Employment 1994 amendments are the goal of OSHA 2022. The significant change in OSHA 2022 are the FMA of 1967 is repealed and enables for self-regulation have been introduced to the OSH legislative rules. In addition, it is not overly reliant on the government. This law must be changed in order to facilitate industry, re-govern against better legislation, and reinforce the current law of OSHA 1994. Higher employee protection, which shields workers from imminent danger, is the second key change, and the OSH management system is the third key change. Further, enlightening for all workplaces has been OSH policy. So, we continue with amendments.
In an amendment, Part 1 preliminary, in OSHA 1994 previous, in the short title and Application Act 154, these acts may be cited as a Commission Safety and Health and subject to this subsection 3. This act should be applied throughout Malaysia to the industry specified in the first schedule, and nothing in this act should apply to work on a board ship governed by a merchant shipping ordinance, the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1960 of Sabah or Sarawak, or the armed force. So in the OSHA 2022, the latest one, in the short title and Commencement Act 1648. Okay, this act may be cited as Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Act 2022. This act comes into operation on the date to be appointed by the minister by notification in the Gazette. So, amendment of the Section 1. The Occupational Safety and Health 1994 Act 514, which is referred to the Principal Act in this Act, by substituting for the subjection, which is subject to the subjection. This Act should apply to all the places of work throughout Malaysia, including public service and statutory authorities. And by substituting for the subjection, the following subsection, nothing in this Act should apply to the work specified in the first schedule. So, in the different previous and latest, will be applied to all places of work, including public service and statutory authorities.
Okay, so the next amendments that are implemented in OSHA 2022 is in Part 7, Safety and Health Organisation, in Section 29, which is Safety and Health Officer. In subsection 1, by substituting the word industry to the word places of work, so the latest subsection 1 would be, this section shall apply to any class or the type of places of work determined by the Minister by order published in the Gazette. In subsection 2, by substituting the words employ a competent person to the words appoint a person, such an occupier of a workplace to which the section this applies should appoint a person who is competent to act as a SHO. In subsection 3, by substituting the word employed to the word appointed, Letter subsection 3 is the safety and health officer shall be appointed exclusively for the purpose of ensuring the due observance at the place of work of the provisions of this Act and any regulation thereunder and promotion of a safe conduct of work at the place of work. In subsection 4 is a substitute to the subsection. A person shall be appointed as a safety and health officer only for one place of work at any one time unless permitted otherwise by the Director General. In subsection 5, by substituting the words 5,000 to the words 50,000, such an occupier who contravenes the provisions of the section shall be guilty of an offence and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 50,000 ringgit or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or to both. Next.
Okay, now I will explain about the other changes, which is new substitution in OSHA 2022 compared to OSHA 1994. Okay, the first substitution that we can see here is in section 3A. In the latest act, we can see the details definition of employer was substituted compared to the previous one. The definition state is employer means any person who has entered into a contract of service to employ any other person as an employee.
Okay, the another substitution is in section 14 annual report. In OSHA 1994, it states the council shall, as soon as practicable after the 30 June but before the 31st December of each year, prepare and forward to the minister a report of its activities for a period of 12 months ending on the 30 June of each year. While in OSHA 2022, by substituting the words as soon as practicable after the 30 June but before the 31st December of each year. The words after the 31st December but before the 31st March of the following years. Next, by substituting for the words 30 June, the words 31st December.
Next is section 29. Section 29 in OSHA 1994 talk about safety and health officer. This section shall apply to such class or description of industries, such as the Minister may, by order published in the Gazette, specify. An occupier of place of work to which this section applies shall employ a competent person to act as a safety and health officer at the place of work. In OSHA 2022, new section 29A elaborate on occupational safety and health coordinator. For subsection 1, an employer whose place of work is not included in any class or description of place of work as published in the Gazette under subsection 29, 1 shall appoint one of his employees to act as an occupational safety and health coordinator if he employs 5 or more employees at his place of work. 2. An employee appointed as an occupational safety and health coordinator under subsection 1 shall be appointed for the purpose of coordinating occupational safety and health issues at the place of work.
Okay, in conclusion, this case study primary goal is to identify the difference between OSHA 2022 and OSHA 1994. We were able to identify the difference between these two OSHA using the research. According to the conclusion, an amendment, a new section, and a substitution all include some changes. OSHA regulation help to prevent and protect workers against hazard and their risk in connection with their activities at work in the future. And record keeping information about event. A safer environment keeps your employee at work by reducing the chances of accident or health problems. Thank you. Do you guys have any question?
Yes, I have question.
Is okay. The question is a self-employed person considered an employer and therefore it obliged to form its own safety and health policy. Did you get my question?
Yes, thank you for the question. For the question, employed people and employers have their own interpretation of which different in OSHA Amendment 2022. So, self-employed people are not required to form a safe and healthy policy.
Okay, I have a second question. Is the appointment of an occupational health and safety coordinator important in OSHA 2022? Thank you for the question. Yes, this is because it is cited in OSHA 2022 in section 29A, which state that the employer must appoint one of his employee as a occupational health and safety coordinator if five or more employees work at the workplace.
Okay, I want to ask a question. Is the employers or the principals responsibility in the OSHA 2022 amendment wider?
The answer is yes, because their responsibility are wider, because it is a mandatory requirement for principal employers to ensure that the safety of contractor and subcontractor, including those employed by them, as far as reasonable practicable. Okay, the other question.
Have another question. So my question is, does OSHA 2022 highlight workers' rights?
Okay, thank you for asking. Yes, OSHA 2022 do highlight the workers' right. For example, the workers have the right to remove themselves from any dangers or any injuries that may happen if they deem necessary. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. How amended OSHA increases the level of responsibility for employers?
Um, Employers have an additional duty under Section 18B to conduct risk assessment in relation to safety and health risks posed to any employee in the workplace and to implement risk control where necessary to eliminate or reduce such risks. That's it.
Okay, do you guys have any question?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, thank you. That's all for